When killer cops get a pass, there are consequences. The trial of Fullerton, California police officers Manuel Ramos and Jay Cincinnelli for the killing of Kelly Thomas was unusual from the start. Usually, when police officers murder civilians, they are put on administrative leave, paid vacation, until an internal review determines that they acted according to policy. In many cases, the killers' identities are never even divulged to the public. So when Ramos and Cincinnelli were charged, the charges brought with them hope that justice, just this once, might be done. Let's be unequivocal on this point. There is no doubt whatsoever, let alone any reasonable doubt, that Ramos and Cincinnelli brutally murdered an innocent victim. They tased Kelly Thomas 5 times, then brutally beat him on camera as he begged for his life. Thomas arrived at the hospital in a coma and died 5 days later from his injuries. An Orange County, California jury's acquittal of these two clearly and irrefutably guilty murderers, for no better reason than that they were wearing uniforms and carrying badges when they committed their crime, is troubling not only in and of itself, but for its likely future consequences. Almost by definition, major social changes involve upheaval, but there's a range within which such upheaval may occur. U.S. President John F. Kennedy alluded to that range when he observed that, quote, "Those who make peaceful revolution impossible will make violent revolution inevitable." Granted, Kennedy's definition of revolution involved relatively minor changes, like, for example, convicting and imprisoning killer cops instead of giving them free passes, within a system he considered too obviously natural to question because he was born into it and fully participated in it. The 400-year-old system, the Westphalian nation-state, is disintegrating around us even now. Its 200-year-old progeny, the police system, as we know it, will almost certainly slide into the dustbin of history with it. A hip-pocket example of the continuum I'm talking about is the late 20th century's dissolution of the Warsaw Pact regimes. In some countries, mass demonstrations segued relatively peacefully into slightly more liberal political regimes. In Romania, on the other hand, dictators Nicolae and Elena Ceausescu were put up against a wall and shot, and regime police attempting to escape the country in an armored vehicle were tracked down and killed by angry Romanians. When the United States dissolves, as it inevitably shall, the range of possibilities looks something like this. At one end of the continuum, former police officers move on. The worst of them may find themselves shunned by right-thinking people, but most of them get real jobs, become productive members of society, and spend the rest of their lives trying to live down their sordid pasts, and maybe even succeeding. At the other end of the continuum, former cops are hunted down like vermin, and exterminated without mercy by their victims, families, and their victims' friends, with onlookers cheering the executions on, or at least declining to intervene. The jury's acquittal of Ramos and Cincinnelli was a vote for the latter outcome. It was also a vote for continuing and escalating police lawlessness. The less specifically guilty individuals pay for their crimes now, the more such crimes we will have. The more the generally guilty class will pay later, and the sooner that later will come. When Killer Cops Get a Pass, There Are Consequences is a C4SS commentary by Thomas L. Knapp, read by James Tuttle. It has been picked up online by such media outlets as beforeitisnews.com.